The point that me and the other gentleman on the panel were trying to illustrate was just as a standalone, a homemaker is an easy ass job, right? You're not doing what our grandmothers have done, where they had washboards and like doing real chores. Like you have automatic dishwashers. You're washing clothes means you throw it in the machine and walk away. Like cooking doesn't take me ever more than like an hour and a half, unless I'm doing like ribs or something. I'm like, what are we doing? This shit is easy. I've actually counted time to see how much it does to do every single duty throughout the day. This shit is easy.
It's unfortunate that stats like this exist, but here's a one that's popular amongst military personnel. 60% of the military lives above their means. Of that 60%, 90 of them have spouses that add to bills. So when we say living above your means, for like in Michelle's case, again, living above your means or living within your means mean not doing anything that will cost you or have you to have a financial requirement you can't meet, such as having additional children. When in the military, birth control is free, medical is free. Having to not understanding that the sacrifice isn't just a service member, it's going to be you. Nobody should get with someone in the military or in any government structure when their pay is something you can find on Google. A E1 in the military makes around $14,000 a year without BAH. With it, he'll make around 35, 36, depending on where he is. So people, when you have service members getting married, this is part of the counseling they get, because it's important for them to understand this, that hey, you make this 40 grand now, you have a baby, that you cut that in, it's 18,000 because the kids are going to cost so much. And that's one of the things like that we have an issue with, is that we see like dependents complaining about things like, and it's not the same thing as a civilian complaining about it. I still feel the same way. However, a military spouse has 1,000% more support than a civilian woman would, who's just married to someone that's a stay-at-home mom. A lot of the dependents in the military are stay-at-home moms because they leverage the support they have. So like when we hear stories, like I just know better. Like it got so bad. Like I wouldn't approve chicks like requests to go get married for people that were under E5 because I knew what was going to happen to them. And it's then now I'm dealing with the spouses calling, and then you get deployed, and it's just a shit show. But when we're talking about like that woman, she probably, that's what a lot of military dudes deal with. Those are the kinds of women that a lot of military guys could deal with. Like, he's been gone, he's been at work for 10 hours. So she wants him to come back in the house and take over because, she's been with the kids all day. Like, that's not her job.
Well, you can say that when somebody is a little bit more educated. But we married right after high school. I was 17, he was 19, and he got deployed immediately after. So I mean, we were kids, and we had to learn. And for the most part, throughout majority of his time in the military, he was deployed. So I have to do the work. And yes, we chose to have children, and we knew that it was going to be hard, but we also chose to have children because we also know that his presence in this earth was not guaranteed, that he might go deployed and he'll come back in a casket, which he actually did. So me having my children, knowingly that they were going to be expensive, yes, but we did it because I also understood that that was the only piece of him that I could have if he was gone, which actually happened. So you can try to educate me all you want about finances, but we did what we needed to do, and then I continued to do that on his absence.
There's nothing wrong with that. And again, sorry for your loss. That's
Yeah, I was gonna say
crazy.
sorry for your loss, but
He
I
made the
do want to
ultimate
highlight
sacrifice.
two things. One thing that Willie said, and one thing that you said, Michelle. So Willie, I think, well, not I think, when women say, and I've heard this so many times, even with my own circle, when women say, "Well, it's just," it diminishes the role immediately. So I would never discredit a man going to work. I think men have, especially black men, have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and we don't understand a lot of times the pressure. And I've shared this so many times, just in general, my own podcast. But Michelle, I don't see her complaining. I think that it's just that word play as far as just. And I think that sometimes we have to, it's not about giving somebody credit for, give them a pat on the back. Oh, you went to work today. Great job. Oh, you stayed home today. You made all the breakfast, dinner. great job. It's about just being appreciated no matter what role you have every day. That's gonna allow you to come home and be happy and not want to just drive past and sit in your car. I know for me, when in my past relationship, I was a helpmate. Yes, I worked full time. He worked full time, but you best believe I did whatever he needed to do, whatever he needed me to do. I made his lunch every day without any complaints. We took turns taking care of the kids, picking them up from, different places with sports or things like that. We, tag teams. All right, look, you got this, I got that. Cool. It was great communication. So we knew what each other was doing, but I would never take away from, which is it, Cheyenne, the hierarchy, because I think that's important. I do believe in a sense of gender roles. I do believe that the man is leading, and they should have a level of respect. I just think it's that play on words when we say just, it just diminishes that, and I think that that's a trigger for men.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a trigger, but it's words have meanings. So if you say it just, you devalue whatever it is you're talking about. And again, the worst that she had, the worst experience a dependent can have. However, that doesn't change the fact that, again, what happened before was things that, again, we tell military members about living outside of their means. Like, the unfortunate part is when you do lose a spouse, you get a big check at the back end of that too. So it does help.
No, not really. No, sir. I don't know. Until you die, you have a, significant other on the other end. It's not, it doesn't compensate the loss of income for one time, payment for the loss of your lifetime partner.
Yeah,
It's not a huge chunk of change. I'm sorry. But unless you have a separate life insurance, unless you have a separate life insurance, it will not compensate the loss of income. No, it's not.
SGLI is $400,000 for every service member. So, I mean, unless it's changed in the past 30 days. But again, you do get compensated for that. But also,
And with today's economy, how long do that carry you?
depends on how financially literate the person is.
I'm sorry, you said $400,000 for that's forever. Yeah. So if someone's making $100,000 a year, that covers for 4 years.
Technically, yeah. And then you also get a lot of other benefits. You can still qualify for disability and Social Security for that spouse. You just have to know to apply for
it. You still get Social Security on top of that $100,000.
And you go to school for free in most states.
Okay.
Excuse me, the kids will go to school for free. So there's a lot of benefits for the military that a lot of people may not know about. Again.
Right.
And also, too, you got to keep in mind some of the things that men just don't tell you that they're going through. Some men just take it on the chin. Take it on the chin. They can be going through a lot. It can be heavy. I've been there. I'm not the type of person that just go complaining and just saying everything. I just understand that that's just a part of life. It's just the way it is. As men, we sometimes just carry the burden of everything around us. And one of the last things we want to do is make sure that we create worry within our household. So I think a lot of people need to just understand that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Some men embrace it. Some men associated with being a man, sadly, but unfortunately. But it's just one of those things that we're just not going to complain. We're just going to just either fix it, make it happen, or we going to just process it in our own way.
Well, one thing is just I never complained, because I understood how mentally and physically demanding his job was. I never, got into his face and said, you're not doing this or you're not doing that or you're never here, you're never there. I never complained. I took my role and I did it gracefully and proudly. And then on his absence, and then I have to do now 2 jobs instead of 1, which was mine, the household and the kids and everything else. And I had to carry on and bury my pain and buried everything and just carry on. But you know what? I signed up for that. And, I didn't expect the pity or, that support from anybody because, whoever wanted, whatever family member, which I didn't have any family in Arizona when that happened. It was just me and my kids. So I just have to, just chin up and carry on. So that I had time to grieve? No, absolutely not. How could I with 4 kids? And then now, the whole solid responsibility. So I'm not saying that I was complaining or that his job was just a job. I'm saying that his focus was only mainly on what he needed to do. But my duties were spread all across the board. That was all I was trying to say.
Okay. Real quick, Michelle. The Apologize that you became the focal point, particularly because of your particular situation, right? But the point that me and the other gentleman on the panel were trying to illustrate was just as a standalone, a homemaker is an easy ass job, right? You're not doing what our grandmothers have done, where they had washboards and like doing real chores. Like you have automatic dishwashers. You're washing clothes means you throw it in the machine and walk away. Like cooking doesn't take me ever more than like an hour and a half, unless I'm doing like ribs or something. I'm like, what are we doing? This shit is easy. I've actually counted time to see how much it does to do every single duty throughout the day. The shit is easy. And we're really trying to glorify, and I'm not saying it's not an important job, because we wouldn't say that. It is important, but it's easy as hell. And y'all are really trying to hammer down on the fact that it's difficult. The degree of difficulty is easy. And I've done every single task. I've done it by myself just to test to see how easy it is. And I'm like, damn, I wish this were my fucking life. This shit is easy. Every single bit of it, easy. I can do every single thing that y'all do in a day in like 2 hours. It got so boring that I started to multitask because one task was just too easy for me to do. Easy. So that's all we're trying to say. It's easy. It's a privilege to be able to be a homemaker. A privilege.
Nowadays it is absolutely definitely a privilege, but let's just be realistic right now. With today's economy, there are very few far in between that they can be homemakers. Most of the the couples now, they are two household incomes, and they have to do the work outside the house, and they have to come home and take care of the household, the husband and the kids. Because if the job was so easy, how come there are more single mothers than there are single parents?
We're not trying to say that. You're conflating something else, right? Whereas you're trying to add different things on it. We were talking about Cheyenne's point that she tried to refute what Willie was saying by saying that being a homemaker is harder than it actually is. That's the only thing that we were trying to refute. We understand that if you're working in addition to it and you got other shit going on, that's completely different. But what we're saying is that a homemaker's job is a luxury and it's easy as hell. That's it in a nutshell.
I'm sorry, Trev, do you taking care of kids during that time?
Yes, easily. 2. Nothing. I watched my mother take care of 6. I watched my grandmother take care of 11. Shit easy. Women now today are weak. That's what's happening. And lazy. That's what it really is. That's what it really boils down to. Life has become so posh for us, particularly in the West, that you have tried to make it seem like it's hard, but it's really not. And there's nothing that any woman could convince me to make me believe that it's any harder than it really is.
I think it's only hard when it's not what you want to be doing. That's when only time I see people complaining about kids, like the point that she made about people can't know what to do for COVID, those are just shitty parents. But I don't think that's the majority of parents. I think that it's a minority of parents that are just shitty, that don't like their kids or don't like being parents, who are like, oh shit, I can't wait for like the type of people who work from home but then still take their like kids to daycare, or the types of stay-at-home moms who still take their kids to daycare. Like it's a mindset for them. It's hard because they don't enjoy doing it. It's hard because it's not them doing whatever it is they want to do. But nothing about being a homemaker is difficult, especially in 2026.